Andre Agassi in Paris on the red clay where his career was reborn 5 years ago. The first match and perhaps his final French Open is just ahead on a gorgeous spring day. Stated, we await the inevitable surprises that always accompany the French Open. I'm Chris Fowler, and on behalf of our entire ESPN tennis team, welcome to the beginning of 7 hours of coverage today on ESPN and ESPN2. Coverage that will span 14 days right through the final weekend. We hope you'll enjoy the journey through a great event here. It's the World Championship of Clay Court Tennis, a test of wheels and a test of will. Andre Agassi, of course, has provided so much drama over the years. He's a new 34-year-old. He's the new Wheaties man, but he's taken a very unconventional path to Paris, passing up the major clay court tune-up matches, and he was a stunning loser in the first round of a minor event in Austria, but he's won before preparing unconventionally. In the same quarter of the men's draw as Agassi and 5 other Americans is Andy Roddick, world number 2. Now, unlike Agassi, Roddick has not had much success on the European clay. It was a meltdown a year ago in the first round that led to the hiring of Brad Gilbert and the success on the lawns last summer. We eventually lost in the semis at Wimbledon to Roger Federer. Of course, Roddick would break through at the U.S. Open, his first major win, and finish the year at number 1. But he's lost 5 straight matches here at Roland Garros, if you count 2 in Davis Cup, and he needs a win to gain confidence. He takes on fellow American, the Gray Ghost, Todd Martin. You'll see that match coming up. Roger Federer arrives here, the top seed at a major for the first time. Now, Federer, of course, in pursuit of the Grand Slam. Can a guy who's lost, like Roddick, in the first round each of the last 2 years here really be the favorite? The Parisian oddmakers say, oui, based on his performance at Hamburg. Now, of course, the major story on the men's side, the doubtful status of defending champ Juan Carlos Ferrero. He's been taking pain-killing injections for a rib injury. He will not practice today. He says 60-40 against his first-round match against Tommy Haas. Tomorrow we'll keep you posted on that story. But now it's time for Andre Agassi on center court here in Paris. Of course, Agassi in '99 provided so much excitement. It was a career highlight for him as he completes the career Grand Slam, coming from 2 sets down to beat Andre Medvedev in the final. Well-earned tears of joy. He's been an icon. He's been so popular here ever since that day. And the man who called that match and hasn't returned since the Roland Garros, the great Dick Edinburgh. We're delighted to have him join us in our Grand Slam coverage this summer. Dick, welcome. I know you look forward, as we do, to the anticipation in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Chris. I am delighted to be back. And how nice of ESPN to roll out the Terre Battue carpet. 5 years ago, Agassi holding the Coupe de Musketeers. And now here he is opening action for the next 2 weeks, as we do look forward to another major masterpiece in this city that loves its art. And I can't help but recall my experiences at the Auguste Rodin Museum. Now, Rodin must have loved tennis on clay. He worked with clay, and his most famous creation was the Thinker. And that's what we're going to see this next 2 weeks. The man and woman who wins this major championship is going to have to think through the production of a point, not just try to power its way through on this demanding Terre Battue surface. And in a major facility for tennis, there's got to be a McEnroe around. Mais oui, Patrick, who 15 years ago celebrated a doubles championship here at Roland Garros.
Thanks for that good memory, Dick. You've given me a lot of great memories over the years, including, of course, watching Agassi do that, what he did, watching Yannick Noah in '83. But the story now is this man, Andre Agassi, as he's set to serve opening point against this youngster from France, Jerome Haehnel, who, yeah, I talked to some of the French coaches. They don't know this guy too well. He's really from out of nowhere. He's a qualifier, not really used to this occasion. Of course, he's never won an ATP match in his career. He's played predominantly on the Challenger circuit and in future tournaments.
What an incredible contrast. Agassi, in quest of his 800th tour event match win against a man who has never won a single match. A qualifier in his 5th attempt to get here to the French Open. Haehnel has made it here in 2004. Agassi, a modest 14-5 record on this season, has not won a title in 13 months. Andre, the oldest man in the men's draw, 34, and a incredible record of 51-14, including that surprise in '99, the championship. Steffi Graf also was the upset winner on the women's side.
That's when it all sort of started for him, wasn't it? When they went to the dinner later in the tournament, the champions dinner. And of course, now the proud parents of 2 young children. Of course, Andre also reaching 2 finals here at Roland Garros back in the early 90s.
We've had a chance to observe these men warming up, and now the first point. The clay appears to be playing a bit slowly today.
Seems a bit heavy, Dick, and I think the cool conditions playing into that. Obviously, the hotter the weather gets, the court gets a little drier. It speeds up a bit.
The temperature is in the low 60s today. Cool breeze. Beautiful sunshiny day.
Well, Andre is, as Chris Fowler talked about briefly, Dick, played 1 warm-up tournament, a tournament in Austria called in St. Pölten. He went out quickly, went out in the opening round to a doubles specialist, Nina Zimanic. And then Agassi jumped on a plane, got to Paris here early last week, Tuesday, and has been preparing here all week.
Second service.
Trying to get his game together, of course, having not played a match since the NASDAQ in the end of March. So Agassi with 6 weeks off from tournament play before last week.
And the demands of playing on this surface, if he has long 5-set matches, could well take its toll. And now scrambling keeps the point alive.
Well, you have to be a little bit wary when you take on a guy who's come through the qualifying, Dick. And this kid, Jerome Haehnel, has done that, winning 3 matches. And yes, he's relatively unknown even to a lot of the Frenchmen. I was talking to all the coaches in the locker room trying to get some info there. They said, we're trying to do the same thing, trying to find out about this young kid.
The product of the French Federation. Does not have a coach. Afraid of flying.
That's right. He's not in the right profession if he says he likes to drive to the tournaments. Well, he hasn't gotten his ranking high enough to be able to fly yet.
And of course, Agassi wants to ground him early today.
Avantage Agassi.
Andre lost the last 3 years in the quarterfinals here at Roland Garros to Guillermo Coria last year.
He won the first set in that one and then really was dominated by Guillermo Coria, who comes in this year clearly as one of the favorites on the men's side.
Agassi holds, and we're underway at Roland Garros in the capital of France. And now a look at the 23-year-old, grew up in the Alsace near the German border, Jerome Haehnel, 6'1", 172 pounds. He'll be 24 in July.
Pretty slight guy, Dick. I mean, as you can see by his look there, he's not a particularly strong-looking guy, but he seems to be moving pretty well. Of course, playing most of his tennis on the red clay. Not working with the Federation anymore, as you said. Dick does not have a coach now.
They liken him, at least physically, to Juan Carlos Ferrero, the defending champion. The lowest ranked player in the men's draw against the oldest, 271st in the world. Ooh. Patrick, it's interesting, the goals of these 2 men. Agassi, of course, looking for 9th Grand Slam. And now when asked what his objective is to break into the top 200 in the world.
That's right. He said if he doesn't do that by the end of this year, he may consider another line of work. It's interesting with a lot of the French players, Dick. They seem to come on, quite a few of them, in their mid-20s. Sometimes they don't get their best results. There are a lot of opportunities for players in France to play within their country, not just in tour events, but they call it club tennis in France. And they have a very strong club tennis system. So even though they're not necessarily playing for points, for world rankings, they can play for money, and they can play and get what a French ranking. In fact, Arnaud Clément, who's one of the top French players in the world, had wrist surgery about a year and a half ago, and he played these French money tournaments. They call them left-handed because he had a surgery on his right wrist.
Haehnel, his top biographical note was that he 6 years ago was the French junior champion, #1 junior, and in '98 won the doubles in Australia juniors.
You know, we're really stretching when we have to reach when we're talking about him winning the junior doubles, you know, but that's how little information that there is on this kid.
We're talking about money. His career total is around $68,000. That's just a $28,500,000 less than Agassi.
That's about how much it costs to run, say, what, one day of Andre Agassi's school that he's created back in Las Vegas. Incredible job that Agassi's done with his preparatory school there and his foundation, helped the children of Las Vegas. Talk about a role model. This guy epitomizes that, Andre Agassi.
So Haehnel holds. Sure, Agassi's game plan was to jump on this qualifier early, try to make this a short match. It's 1-all. 15,000.
Yeah, they just love him here, Dick, and of course they love him everywhere now for all he's done in each of these great tennis stadiums around the world. And when Agassi lost this year at the Australian Open in that just classic 5-setter with Murat Safin, you know, he took his bows that he normally takes just after wins, but he took them after this loss to Murat Safin, and a lot of us were thinking, is this it? Is this the last time we're going to see Agassi at the Australian Open? And there's no doubt that it's a fair question to ask really every time now Agassi steps out onto the Grand Slam stage. Could this be his last French Open? He doesn't know. He says, hey, I'll know when the time comes. I'll talk it over with my wife, Steffi Graf, with my trainer, my confidant, Gil Reyes.
30-15.
But for the time being, why should he stop with how well he's still competing? He says that he wants other players, the great players, to have to play a great match to beat him. And that's exactly what's been happening at the majors. Ferrero last year at the U.S. Open semifinals. Safin this year's Australian.
Well done.
Haehnel showing some good movement here as Agassi had him on the run. He anticipates this one well and finds the opening up the line. Agassi already, though, with 6 unforced errors. Not looking sharp yet.
There's the big forehand of Haehnel. That's his strength, and earns a break point.
Well, there you see the difficulty that Agassi has on the red clay. A perfect example there. A heavy ball from Haehnel with a lot of topspin that Agassi tried to take on the rise, and that's very tough to do on the clay.
Impressive with his court coverage, and that's part of the test of this championship, that you have to be patient and persevere long points, as much as the Americans like to finish a point quickly, and perhaps that's part of the death knell of American hopes through the years here in Paris.
Avantage Agassi.
Well, I had an interesting interview, sort of a walk around the grounds that we'll see some of later with Todd Martin. And he said, we Americans, I asked him about that, Dick. He said, well, we Americans know, we all know how to win points. We know how to be aggressive. We know how to take chances. The problem that we have on clay is that we also know how to lose points. You know, we give away too many points with lack of patience, with going for too much, trying to hit the ball too flat.
There's a classic clay court point. There was a couple times within that rally on a hard court, Agassi has won the point. And
Right.
instead, he had to be stretched another 10 strikes of the ball to win it.
That may wear Haehnel down pretty quickly too, as having the lack of experience that he does. All of a sudden, playing Andre Agassi and the way he makes you move and run around the court, I can guarantee he's never seen anything like this. Playing on the future level, just the intensity point after point that Agassi throws her way.
Agassi holds, survives a break point. 2-1 on serve. The 2004 French Open. And welcome back to Philippe Chatrier Stadium, Port Central here at Roland Garros. And Andre Agassi, first time he's exploited his opponent with a drop shot.
You're going to see a lot of drop shots throughout this fortnight, Dick. I can guarantee you that. And it's a smart play from Agassi to use that shot. Guillermo Coria, the youngster from Argentina, that's one of his favorite plays. And the reason it works so well on clay is because, number one, footing is much tougher, so it's tougher for your opponent to react to the drop shot, all the slipping and sliding. If they do get to the drop shot, you have more time to run that ball down. So there's just a lot more options there for you. So there's the slippery, slidey stuff right there, changing direction. Agassi used to taking those quick steps and exploding off of a hard court. And on clay, you know, Agassi's been able to play so well in his career on clay, really without even sliding that much, which is very unusual.
And the first ace for the 23-year-old qualifier. And a couple of points for 2-all.
Good start for Haehnel. Didn't seem to be overawed by the situation at all.
Wouldn't you think it?
Yeah.
Playing a former champion, playing on the biggest court in France in his first ever ATP event.
Got out here early this morning, Haehnel did, and warmed up on this center court. And who was next to him warming up as well? Andre Agassi. So we got to see him. They shared the court.
Yeah, there's the sharply angled backhand that sets up the winner for Agassi.
Haehnel was in a tough position here. A good slice. It stayed low, so he had to hit it up. Agassi's got time, and his preparation is so picture perfect. Look at this quick turn. He can do 3-4 different things right there, and he elects to go into topspin lob. That's what has made Agassi, Dick, so successful on every surface. That short backswing, that ability to hit 3-4 different shots with the same swing, and he can do it on every surface. Incredible timing off the ground from Agassi.
A little deeper and playing behind the baseline than we'd see Agassi, say, at Flushing Meadows or at Wimbledon, where he likes to play right on the line or inside it.
Well, he knows that, you know, part of what I was talking about earlier, Dick, that playing defensive tennis wins you a lot more points on clay than on other surfaces. So, but here Andre will look to come in on the second serve. Bad bounce there, hit the service line.
Jerome Haehnel showing you that he does have a big forehand and good mobility.
The problem for him is you see him taking a lot of time in between points already. He's sucking some wind, and if he's doing that 2-1 in the first set, and believe me, Agassi is taking note of that right now.
He holds for 2-all. Interesting draw for Andre Agassi, the number 6 seed. He's in the same quarter as U.S. number 1 Andy Roddick.
That's right, and if he gets through all the way to that quarterfinal, he'd take on Roddick. But before then, he's got Haehnel, Lojer, Alexander Pavlov, Vince Spadea in there. Talk about resurgence in your later years. American has a pretty good clay court season this year.
But it's a good draw for us.
It is. It's a very good draw. You didn't see any Gaudios or Canyases or real tough clay court players in that section. Fernando Gonzalez, well, he's a seed. But Fernando Verdasco is another one from Spain. Very dangerous. Oh, yeah. Haehnel thought he had Agassi on the run there, and he did. But look what Agassi can do on the dead run. Runs just down and beautifully angled back cross court.
Again, that early preparation.
Oh, yes. That's going to give Agassi a lot of confidence. Sometimes that high forehand can spray on Andre Agassi. And that one, he really stepped in and went through that ball. Cleanest game so far of the match from Agassi.
And he punctuates with an ace, his first on serve, 3-2.
Court player, but a guy who felt pretty comfortable coming into this French Open, losing the first 2 sets to Frenchman Cyril Sonia. Sonia is now being treated by a trainer. We'll keep you posted on that score. This is an Agassi's quarter of the draw. Dick, Patrick?
All right, thank you, Chris. Justine Anna Arden struggling, only had 8 double faults in the first set against Testu, and then held on 6-4 and 4. It took an hour and a half. Here they're on serve, Agassi and Haehnel.
And the reason, Dick, it's hard to take that ball on the rise on clay is because the unpredictability of the bounce, and also, you know, you got to play with a little more defensive thought to your game, and that's a real aggressive type of approach. And it doesn't necessarily pay off as much as it does on other surfaces. Now Agassi has been able to have success doing that on the clay, but so far today Definitely struggling to find his range. 12 unforced errors.
Andre has taken a lot of time off this year.
Australian Open, of course, had a run to the semis. San Jose lost to Marty Fish, a young American who had to pull out here. Indian Wells had a chance to beat Federer there, lost that one. And then last couple tournaments, very disappointing. Miami, he went out early. And again last week. But Agassi knows at this stage of his career especially, he's gearing towards the majors. And because, Dick, his work ethic is so good, and when he goes off and he takes these long breaks, he's hitting the gym, he's doing the running, he's doing the work necessary. He left his home in Vegas, and there's his coach, Darren Cahill, went up to Northern California where he has a place, and was able to spend some time practicing there, getting on some clay courts. Wayne Ferreira, the South African, has a place out there, so he spent some time practicing with him. Nicely done around the net, showing some feel.
3-all. Some wondered if Haehnel was capable of winning 3 games, and he has Agassi even in the first set.
Comes in behind a good approach, and that's always a good play on the clay, Dick, to hit the volley shorter than you would on, say, on a hard court or a clay court. To keep it short, force your opponent to move up into the court. If you volley deep on this surface, many times you can get burned because your opponent has that extra time to set up and prepare for the pass. So as you talked about, Dick, there are a lot of different things you have to think about when you go out to play on this surface. Not just how you serve, maybe you take a little bit off your first serve, get a better spin on the ball, but playing short, playing deep, using different combinations.
Well, he does take a big swing on that forehand, doesn't he?
He's extremely relaxed, doesn't he, the youngster?
So was the crowd here at Chatrier.
Yeah, wake up out there, everybody. This is Agassi.
1:15 in the afternoon in Paris, and a beautiful touch from Agassi.
And one of the problems with standing so far back on the return of serve is that if you hit the ball fairly short, your opponent can play that drop shot quickly. And a good serve from Agassi.
4-3. Agassi on serve, opening set. Roland Garros. Down 2 sets, and here Andre Agassi is hands full early with the qualifier Jerome Haehnel, as Haehnel serves 3-4 in the opening set. The one thing that has to be a bit alarming from Agassi's end is that Haehnel really hasn't given him many points.
No, we talked about the unforced errors. The Agassi 14, only 3 for Haehnel. And there's another one from Agassi. Agassi hits those ground strokes relatively flat. So that means his margin for error is not that good for this surface. There's another one. So that ball just too flat. He's got to get just a little bit of spin. He's not going to hit as much as a lot of the clay court guys do, because Agassi likes to play that aggressive style, but he's got to find that little range, a little bit of spin, get his confidence going, himself into some more rallies. There's another one just flying over the baseline.
A love game for Haehnel, the 4-all. It's amazing. I mean, you see it year after year after year. You come to Paris, you play on this surface. Your opponent may be someone, as you've already mentioned, Patrick, that not even his home fans know about, and yet he has you 4-all early. Agassi with his second ace. First journey out of the chair for our umpire Carlos Ramos of Brazil. Shot spot painting service line.
First serve for Agassi. Sort of a funky swing on that forehand, Haehnel, but he certainly generates some pace and some great topspin. A little bit of a hitch in that backswing on the forehand. But as you mentioned, Dick, on the clay, he can get away with that because look how far back he's got a little more time. Good defensive work from Haehnel, and Agassi getting frustrated.
Haehnel's had the only break point of this opening set back in the third game. Couldn't convert. At 30-all here, 4-all in the first.
Watch Haehnel try to move around here and hit a forehand. Oh yeah, Agassi, he's not comfortable that far behind the baseline. And Haehnel able to push Agassi back, and now a real worrisome situation for the American.
Biggest point of the opening set, with Haehnel a chance to break and then serve out the set. And it's wide. Haehnel has the first break of the match. 5-4. Haehnel serves for a set lead when we come back. At Chatrier, as the crowd continues to join the action here. And Andre Agassi trying to pick up the action as he trails the qualifier, Jerome Haehnel, who serves for the first set.
Talk about a shocker right now. Haehnel, he never won a match on the main tour in his career. Never been ranked inside the top 200. And here he is, a game away from winning the first set. Comes Andre Agassi.
And comes out with a big serve. Haehnel, the longest of long shots here in this championship. And playing the man who won the title 5 years ago, and playing him well here in the opening set.
Got it beautifully constructed, mixing up his serves well. That time he kicked it out wide. He pulled Agassi outside the court, one of Andre's favorite plays, and then he found the opening with a two-hander up the line. So we've talked a lot, Dick, about his forehand, but he's also doing some damage with that two-hander.
And another big serve. 3 set points.
40-0.
Two more chances for the opening set for Haehnel. And this is dream stuff for him.
Don't wake him up yet. He wins this one. He's still got two more to go. That's out.
Jerome Haehnel, Haehnel. That's how you spell it, and they're about to yell it here in Paris. Thank you, Cliff. Play begins here in the second set, and continuing his scrambling and outstanding shot making is Jerome Haehnel. Took him only 37 minutes to win that opening set at 6-4. And he earns the first point of the second set.
And the bad news, Dick, for Agassi, other than losing that opening set, which is the obvious bad news, he didn't really make Haehnel work that hard. Played a couple of loose points, a lot of unforced errors from Agassi, 21 in that set.
Look at that save. Now, you would have thought if someone was going to kick it around 21 unforced, it would have been the qualifier against one of the great players of this generation.
Yeah, he really has looked incredibly relaxed out there. Again, only 3 unforced errors that entire first set from Jerome Haehnel.
Haehnel won 12 of 15 points in closing out the initial set. Agassi holds, and the game plan pretty well mapped out now for the number 6 seed Agassi. The one thing he did not want to do is have to stay out on court in a lengthy match, but he's going to be in that endurance test early. As you see, first serve percentages, Haehnel manufacturing a win of the set at 50%, but the big stat, 22 unforced as we update that statistic, and only 4 from Haehnel's side.
Remarkably clean first set from Haehnel.
Out of break point chance for Agassi. Let's see if Haehnel can continue that high level of play.
Agassi talking to himself, trying to find his rhythm out there. As I said, he went out early in that one of the warm-up tournaments in Austria, got to Paris. Apparently had a little bit of a rough up and down week on the practice court, from what my spies tell me. Dick had a very good session in the middle of the week with Andy Roddick, who also got to Paris a week early. Other than that, he was struggling with his rackets, trying to find the right string tension. He's trying to find his range, and obviously that's continuing here in this opening round match.
A rare unforced from Haehnel, and it's an interesting mood here at Chatrier. The French are a study anyway. They're fans. You just don't always predict how they're going to react. On one hand, they love Agassi and they expect him to move on, and here's someone they don't know, even though a countryman, Haehnel. They're not hearty in their cheering of Haehnel. I think they're more stunned by what they've seen in the first set.
Exactly. I mean, we know how the French crowds are are famous for their passion for the game, and us working against someone like Serena Williams last year. She worked for Andre Agassi many times here.
Turnabout's fair play.
Again, that's a great play off of a good first serve. When your opponent hits the return short, because then they're scrambling, they're sort of moving back, they're on their heels. And Agassi, you see, can't quite get his footing to make that good explosive first step, and he had no chance to run that down.
And another good serve from Haehnel. 1-all in the second.
Interesting too, in the French papers leading up to this tournament, the sports pages, they've been just berating the men, saying that the men have no chance, and none of our Sébastien Grosjean and Arnaud Clément, and taking a lot of shots at the men, saying maybe they don't work hard enough, they're given too much. So the real buzz coming into the tournament from the French side has been for the women, and for Emily Mauresmo particularly. She's clearly one of the favorites on the women's side.
Now she comes into Roland Garros playing the best tennis. Couple of titles last month.
Beating Capriati in the great final at the Italian Open. Capriati actually had a match point there. Well, this will send the French writers, they'll give them plenty of copy if this Haehnel can continue this play.
And with 58 titles, 8 of them majors, Andre Agassi. Use that expression, relative unknown. Now this is take the relative away.
Forget that. Complete unknown here.
But trying to make his own headline on the opening day of this championship. Got Agassi in a sweat.
Clean winner from Agassi.
40-15. Agassi.
On serve in the second, Jerome Haehnel with a 6-4 capture of the opening set against the 6-seed Andre Agassi. Let's go over to Longland and Cliff Drysdale.
Thank you, Dick. Well, the Englishman Haehnel had his chances in this set. Now he is on the brink at 5-2 tiebreak third set. He's down 2 sets to Cyril Saunier, the Frenchman, who for the first year in his career is in the top 100 in the world. First set 6-4 Saunier, second set same score. Haehnel had set points in this third set, failed. Now he's up 6-2 set points again for Haehnel. Handful. Number 9 seed Haehnel. So now we will see how this thing turns out, but Haehnel's still alive.
He's looking good right now. It's good that, you know, that he's able to take out that third set.
Let's go back to Chartres and Dick and Patrick McEnroe.
All right, thanks, Cliff. So Haehnel still with his hopes alive, earns that tie-break set. As you look at the continuing flow of the crowd on this Monday. And some terrific action still ahead here at Chartres, including the Battle of Americans, Andy Roddick, Todd Martin. Agassi without a break of Haehnel's service. Jerome Haehnel 23-year-old Alsatian. 6-4 in the opening set.
Gave us sort of an all-American day, didn't they, Dick? I was nice to them. The French Federation with Agassi and then Lindsay Davenport coming up.
Second double fault.
There's the big showdown with Roddick and Todd Martin. Again, a lot of cheap points from Haehnel off of his serve. There's a better return from Agassi. But in trouble. Haehnel is perfectly finding this, opening up the line. The preparation, steps in, slides into it.
Hold on.
Agassi's starting to put a little air, though, under some of those returns, which is a smart play. Trying to get himself back into position off the return. Oh, no, missed that badly.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to put Haehnel under any pressure on Haehnel's serve. And it's going to be interesting to see how the qualifier reacts to it when he does have to win a big point. But so far, Haehnel's been in command.
No break points for Agassi.
Second service.
It's 2-all.
Deux jeux partout.
I wonder what's going through his mind and this man's. He don't for Haehnel, he doesn't want to think about it. Don't think about it.
Exactly. Look at that, 26 now errors for Agassi.
Agassi dictating the point, but working, and finally earns the 15-love lead.
Those, Dick, are the types of points that he wants to play one after another, because that's really what takes the legs away from his opponents.
Marvelous defense by Haehnel.
Yes, the toughest thing in tennis, Dick, is the recovery. The recovery from a difficult point when you're running, when you're scrambling. And Agassi's success over the years has been predicated on that strategy. Constantly, point after point, making you work, taking your legs away, giving you less time to recover. That's good.
Skips off the baseline.
You see Haehnel taking a long walk back there. This one skips off the line.
Kick serve by Agassi to the ad court. Remember when he first came up as a kid? I mean, he tried to put you in the first row of the grandstand.
He'd move all the way out to the sideline to hit that one. Agassi trying to take the ball right off of the bounce there. Difficult to control. You just need perfect timing to hit that one consistently. Oh, yes.
He yo-yoed Haehnel on that point. It's 3-2 in the second. Haehnel up a set on a beautiful day in Paris. Appropriate shot for Agassi, the shadow growing in his great career. Match win leaders Connors, Lendl, Agassi 206, and Sampras. And the big ones. Haehnel to serve, 2-3 in the second. And he has lost only 6 points in his last 5 service games. Haehnel. Agassi unable to punch a hole in his service game.
Was there in plenty of time, and now overplayed that backhand. Had plenty of room to go down the line there.
Yeah, as a Davis Cup captain, you have the luxury of talking to your players and coaching them. At this point for Agassi, if Agassi said, hey, help me out, what would you tell him?
By the way, Dick, some aren't sure that's a luxury, some of the players.
I hear you.
Yeah, but no, I think Agassi needs to get more height on his return. Talked about that a little bit earlier. Stand back a little bit on that first serve return. Give himself a little more time. Get into some more rallies. Find his range. Find his rhythm. Agassi's always been at his best when he's working his opponents, not when he's trying to play 1-2. Whoa.
Just a little wide. Well, that might be the first indication that Haehnel is thinking. And for Agassi, it's a third double fault that from Haehnel's end. He sees a rare 15-30 on the board. But
so that's where Agassi gets into trouble on clay more than on any other surfaces, when he has to run wide and then slide into the ball. He's just not as comfortable on the defense.
And the ace. Second for Haehnel. Are there any Americans who really slide as well as the Europeans, South Americans, the Spaniards?
You know, Roddick slides pretty well. He moves around decently. Vince Spadia played a lot on clay growing up in Florida.
Agassi again, perhaps trying to do too much. It's 3-all in the second, and starting to become a bit serious. Do you sense that from the crowd here at Chatrier?
Look at this Agassi serve. You see the Australian Opens in the yellow, and the red is the French Open. This is the same speed of serve, by the way, and look how much more it slows down here at the French Open, what the red clay does to the serve. Talking about Andy Roddick. That's why this surface is going to be the toughest one for him to conquer. And of course, Pete Sampras never able to do it in his career.
Nor Connors, nor McEnroe, nor Becker, nor Edberg, the power players.
When the ball hits the clay, it just slows down more. It bounces up a little bit more rather than through the course and a hard court, or certainly on grass at Wimbledon. And that's good. That's on the line.
And Agassi in trouble here at 3-all in the second. And now with the opening set at 6-4.
Yeah, he's really off. I think the other thing, Dick, that I would tell Agassi now is you got to move your feet a little bit more. Even though you know he's not feeling confident, that's a key for Agassi, and maybe it would trick himself into thinking, hey, okay, you know, I'm into this. My footwork is there.
Doesn't like the racket.
No, I talked about that in the leading up to the tournament. He was struggling with his rackets, with his strings. There's a lot of doubting, I think, going on in the head of Andre Agassi right now. Dangerous moment for him. Flat-footed. Hit the serve and completely flat-footed there, Agassi.
And 2 break points for Haehnel to take a 4-3 lead here in the second, already up a set. And the service winner bails Agassi out of 1 breaker. 1 hour into the match.
Remember those 2 points. This match turns around. Haehnel with 2 bad misses on returns of serve.
But that slice serve had a little bigger action than anything that Agassi's thrown at him today. Back to deuce.
Another opportunity for Haehnel. If you're Haehnel now, Dick, after missing 2 returns, you say to yourself, get this return back in play, because Agassi making a lot of unforced errors.
And the crowd sensing they may be seeing a special upset. Working to survive another break point.
Haehnel took a huge chance by running around that second serve, and he gave Agassi a lot of court to work with. And Agassi took advantage.
How about the skid marks by Haehnel going after that forehand? And a 4th break point for Haehnel.
Carlos Ramos is going to take a look at this mark, but it did seem to be long. Yep, confirming that one.
Shot spot just outside the baseline.
Avantage Haehnel.
Oh, a tight looking forehand there. Four break points saved.
Oh my, the longest point of the match, and Agassi grinds it out.
He really did have both players working extremely hard throughout this rally. Agassi sees his opening. And again, good spin on that forehand. He didn't try to hit it too flat. Give himself a little margin for error. Just like that one.
Saves 4 break points. Let's see if this is a turning point of the match. Agassi certainly hopes so.
Down 2 sets to 1. and trailing 3 games to 2 in set number 4. We'll continue to track that match. Back inside to Dick and Patrick.
All right, Chris, and here's a crucial service game for the qualifier. Jerome Haehnel had 4 chances to break Agassi and move toward a 2-set lead, but Agassi survives. See what impact that has. Well, Agassi helping him with another unforced error. It's just a different game, and it's a different game from our clay in the U.S.
Yeah, and much different. Most of the clay in the U.S. is what we call hard true, the green clay, which is faster, it's more slippery. Actually play a more aggressive type of game on the hard true surface. Here it's made out of just good, real old-fashioned mud.
Crushed brick.
Yep.
Crushed brick. They've tried to speed up the balls through the course of many seasons to deny the long rallies.
And there's no question that that's worked, Dick. I mean, you watch replays of Vilas and Borg. I mean, the rallies went on forever.
I can remember in my first year here in '83, the ball would bounce once and then roll.
That was a year that Noah had an incredible run to the final, or to winning the tournament.
Really the last power player to win on the men's side.
Last Frenchman as well. We want to remind the French of that.
It's a great moment. He's still a hero.
Not to mention a pop star.
He sees the opening and couldn't deliver. He played patiently and a forehand into the net.
Still think that's the right type of point, though, for Agassi to play, to try to make Haehnel work. And there you see Agassi bouncing around. See, he's listening to me. Move those feet.
Haehnel a point away, a couple of points for 4-all here in the second set. If you're just joining us, took him only 37 minutes to beat Agassi in that opening set, 6-4, breaking Agassi at 4-all in the first. Agassi does not have a break point in the match.
Yep.
I mean, how can someone 271st in the world play so impeccably on this major stage in front of his countrymen against a great player?
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, obviously we know about the depth in tennis, and men's tennis especially.
Look at that save. And Agassi with the unforced, and it's 4-all.
He says this youngster Haehnel, when he goes out and practices, you see Agassi, one of the things Agassi's had trouble with here is moving up into the court. And that ball sort of bounced low, and he didn't quite move into the court to hit that for him. But Haehnel, as I was talking about, Dick, he says that, he practices quite a bit with some of the top French players like Mathieu, like Rojan.
Oh, get it right to him.
Yeah, and he says, when I go out there on the practice court, I'm fine. I compete with them. I'm right there at their level. The problem for him has been mental. The problem is when he gets into tournament play and match play, that's where he's struggled. And maybe he just comes into this one saying, hey, there's no pressure on me. I'm playing center court. I'm playing Andre Agassi. I came through the qualifying, so that makes him feel like he's earned his place. And the fact that he didn't get a wild card from the French Tennis Federation, which they give predominantly, obviously, to the French players. Maybe he was a little upset about that because he thought, hey, I deserve a shot. But so sometimes that's the motivation you need.
But it's a reflection of how he's regarded in the tennis world
not
of this
too highly,
country.
right?
Yeah, one of the things I've enjoyed most about going to the Grand Slam events is that first week, first couple 3 days where you can wander on the grounds and you watch a lot of play and you wonder, look at how this young guy hits the ball. Why isn't he winning titles?
Right.
And it does come down to just a couple of 3 shots a set, doesn't it? And the mental framework. And so far, Haehnel has shown no buckle in that mental process. Tried a little sneak approach, but Agassi there with the winner. On serve 5-4 in the second. Welcome back to Chatrier Stadium, Roland Garros, 2004 championships and the 99 king of the clay, Andre Agassi, with his hands full. A qualifier, 271st in the world, Jerome Haehnel, and Haehnel serves at 4-5 in the second, up a set. And dishes up a double fault, his 4th. And remarkably, Agassi against this huge underdog has not had a break point opportunity in the entire match. With Patrick McEnroe here at Chatrier, Dick Enberg, pleased to be back in Paris. And our coverage 7 hours today from the capital of France, and an early pulse on what we might expect for this championship. And there are no easy matches, as Andre Agassi would attest.
And you see the match stats as Agassi with a lot more winners, but of course it's the unforced errors from Agassi that's been killing him. And look at the break point opportunities. And now with 7 overall.
A chance here for Agassi, 30 all at 4-5, 2 points away from a set all.
Again, trying to take that ball on the rise, and when his confidence is off a little bit, it's just very difficult to do that on this surface. But that's his game. I mean, that's the way he's going to play, and that's the way he's decided that he's going to try to hit himself out of trouble in this match. Oh, good 1-2 there from Haehnel.
And showing no signs of buckling under the pressure at 30 all, 4-5. He holds. And now Agassi down a set, 5 all. He's not been able to swing the momentum. Haehnel's had too many answers, and Agassi too many mistakes.
Flew on him a little bit. One of the few wild forehands from this young Frenchman. He's never beaten a player in the top 100 in the world. Forget about a guy who's been #1.
Agassi.
Oh, hello. Well,
when you think back to that victory over Andre Medvedev when he was down 2 sets in '99, this is what Agassi did. He elected to change his whole game plan and come to the net, and it turned the match around.
Thought I was looking at Patrick Rafter for a second there in that volley. Rafter-like, he had some success serving and volleying on this red clay, making it to the semifinals, but couldn't get through to the final.
Agassi holds it, love. It'll be Haehnel serving to stay in the second set when we return. Andre Agassi and Jerome Haehnel returned to Chatrier, Court Central. Earlier The defending champion Justine Anna Arden. A good test from Sandrine Testu, 4-4. Then it'll be Pichet and Davenport, and the cleanup match Todd Martin and Andy Roddick.
A little over an hour and a half for Justine Anna Arden, so definitely a good tuning for her. First match back in a while.
Yeah, Haehnel serving now for a second set tie break. Double fault gift to start this game. 5 now for the 23-year-old.
Verdasco wins the last 2 sets, 2 bagels over Greg Rusedski. Watch out for this kid, Fernando Verdasco from Spain. Very dangerous floater. Haehnel up 2 breaks now in that 4th set. About to take that one to a 5th.
What's not to like about this young Jerome Haehnel? Showing no signs of crumbling, even though he's admitted himself that he needs to relax more on court, that the mental aspect has been his problem.
And one of the reasons, Dick, that he left the French Tennis Federation, and they supplied him with some coaching, because he said he wanted to go out and go on his own and really find out about himself. You know, can I make it? Because he's been struggling there between 250, 400. If I don't, break through, and for him, by the way, breaking through is making the top 200. If I don't break through there, I'm going to quit by the end of a year or so. He might be rethinking those plans right now.
Point from a tie break, already leading by a set. Got the answers.
Yep.
To a tie break we go. And he has Agassi puffing. Well, they said in the report on Haehnel that he had a devastating, as Darren Cahill watches, a devastating forehand. We thought that was biographical prose, but he has shown that, and they say he moves well. He's a little better than that today against Agassi.
You just see his movement, Dick, when he goes out to that forehand, just how comfortable he is sliding into that ball and hitting it as he's sliding into it. That's always a sign of someone that knows how to play on this red stuff.
And he grabs the early mini break.
Service.
Let.
That's been the surprising thing, I think, Dick. I mean, not that many aces from Haehnel, only 2, but a lot of points he's won with a good, solid first serve.
He's been serving in the low 120s. Agassi gets that mini break back. Serves at 2-1 Haehnel.
So there's that indecision from Agassi, because normally he would step in and really look to attack a ball like that. But on clay, he's sort of caught in the middle. Should I just roll it? Should I? He's been trying to step in early in the match, and he's been making a lot of errors.
3-2, Haehnel.
You can't just rely on your instincts on this surface when you play this style of game that Agassi plays, which is an aggressive backcourt mentality.
Up a mini, an L3-2. And they'll change ends with the unknown Frenchman leading 4-2, owning the opening set.
Crowd just stunned at what they're seeing here from this youngster who, as I talked about earlier, a lot of the French coaches and some of the ex-players that I saw hanging around the locker room, they said, well, we're trying to find out about this guy.
Well, Agassi knows. I remember 6 years ago, 98, over at Longland, we saw Agassi dismissed in the opening round by an unknown, but he became known, Murat Safin. You could see early that Safin had a big game.
There's an aggressive return there from Agassi. There it is.
28-2 against qualifiers and Grand Slams, and Safin the last to beat him, and that was an opening round match. Well, Agassi with that big forehand has earned the mini break back on serve, 4-3. And a miss hit, 4-all. There is some wind, and it at times blows and gusts. We've seen that since arriving here in Paris. The flags will be almost limp at times, and then they'll be starched out as they are at the moment. These are the big points, and it's Agassi who commits the error. And look at now, up a set. Jerome Haehnel serves his 2 points and a chance for a 2-set lead.
That ball skipped off the line. Tough break for Agassi.
2 set points for Haehnel to lead Agassi by 2 sets. Oh my, Jerome Haehnel, 271st in the world, leads Agassi 2 sets up.
Potential huge surprise in the making.
Well, the buzz around Roland Garros, and word does travel very quickly in these environs, that Jerome Haehnel leads Andre Agassi by 2 sets, and he opens the third.
Yep. Flat-footed there from Agassi. He's got to come out with a little more positive energy, Agassi, in this opening in this third set. Just feel that Agassi's been just a little bit sluggish with his footwork and just in the way he's looking out there. You can call it a hang dog, but it's just not quite the positive sort of walk that you normally see from Agassi.
There's another. Misses by about 8 feet. Meanwhile, Tim Henman and Saulnier are into a 5th set after Henman fell 2 sets down. And Agassi, of course, in the same position. He needs to rally. Not showing many positive signs here to open the 3rd, and Jerome Haehnel continues to power his way, playing nearly flawless tennis.
Opened up the court beautifully there with that cross-court forehand. Got Agassi stretched out. Yep.
The drop shot has worked effectively when applied by Agassi.
40-30.
Haehnel has just been so relaxed throughout this match, taking his time in between points.
Now the deuce. So few cracks in his game. He's been exposed enough now. You would think that at 271 there'd be some problems.
Agassi trying to play a little moon ball action there, but Haehnel not falling for it as he gets control of the point. And again, look how much scrambling Agassi's having to do, going to that slice backhand, and then he moves beautifully to his left, Haehnel, to hit that forehand from the backhand side of his court.
Off the baseline, back to deuce. And Agassi desperate now to have something positive. He needs the lift that a break here early in the 3rd would give him. Still not a break point for Agassi against Haehnel.
Yep.
There it is, the first of the match. Comes 93 minutes into the play. And Agassi down 2 sets. First pressure point on his serve. Haehnel. A little off in the first serve in this game.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Agassi just taking a huge cut at that one. To hit it that flat from that far outside the court. Agassi would like to have that one back. So would his coach there, Darren Cahill.
He had a second serve and tried to slap a winner.
You know what Agassi's talked about, Dick, is you and I have talked about how little he's played and how he's playing, you know, just a couple of tournaments to get himself ready for the majors. Second break point. And maybe it's at the big points where that's hurt him. Not playing that many matches throughout the year.
Oh my.
And that time he played exactly the return he wanted. Cross court, had Haehnel pulled out wide. And I guess he said after that loss to Safin in Australia, where he had so many opportunities, so many break points, that sort of doubted himself. He said, well, maybe not playing that many tournaments is hurting me at the crucial stages of matches.
Avantage
What
Haehnel.
Agassi's pulled out to here and there, right there, to get back into position from out there, especially on the clay, is very tough for Agassi.
And Haehnel again whipping a winner up the line, something that Agassi in this game has had a couple of chances to win the game with that forehand down the line, and Haehnel survives 2 break points, up 2 sets against the former champion Agassi. Well, understand it's just out in the States. Agassi, cover boy, breakfast of champions. I think we better run down and give him a couple of balls.
Out there. He's going to need that. Throw a couple of raisins in there. He needs that. But
how come no sportscasters ever on the
what's
cover
the
of
story
Wins?
there, Dick? We could get on there.
Hey, I can eat. I can't play. But
I think you like the French food though a little better over here.
That's one of the many charms of this great city. The history, the architecture, the great museums, culinary arts. It's interesting that the French national budget, over 5%, is devoted to maintaining the arts.
Amazing.
And this young Haehnel is painting a pretty nice picture himself.
Talked about earlier in the week about the announcement by the IOC, Dick, the Olympic Committee, of the finalists for the Olympics in 2012, and a lot of the Europeans think that Paris is the real favorite to get the Olympics. And of course the tennis will be played right here in the if the Olympic Games were to come here in 2012. Paris, London, Madrid, Moscow, and New York. The last five cities in the running.
5 major league cities. Paris did host the Olympics at the turn of the last century.
New York has never hosted Olympic Games. Of course, the tennis will be played at the USTA National Tennis Center if that comes to New York, and the same for London. It would be played at the All England Club, of course, where Wimbledon is played. Wonder if they'd play the Olympics on grass. I guess that would be interesting, huh?
I guess that's what would have to happen unless they got out the asphalt trucks.
I don't see that happening in the All England Club. Slap happy again on that forehand.
It's a big forehand with a little hitch, but boy, he gets a great whipping action on it.
And it's a type of forehand, Dick, that would have trouble on a faster surface, certainly on grass, even on a fast hard court. But on this clay surface, he has that time to create that swing.
That's one of Agassi's acute angles for the winner, and 1-all in the third, down 2 sets. If you're just joining us, to a 23-year-old unknown, Jerome Haehnel, the longest shot on the board in the men's draw, at 271st in the world, but certainly handling his opponent, the number 6 seed, Andre Agassi. New balls.
Not only has Haehnel never played a tournament in a Grand Slam, he's never played a tournament on the ATP Tour. And of course, all the other tournaments. He's played some challengers.
2 this year, both in France.
30-0.
Doesn't like to fly, he said. Doesn't like to get on a plane, so he prefers to play where he can drive. And of course, his ranking's been so low. He might not even be able to get a seat in coach with the little money he's made on the tour.
By God.
That's right.
Those first 2 forehands would have been winners for Agassi on a hard court. He needs a 3rd shot on the backhand to finally earn the point.
40-15.
a bit bewildered, the 34-year-old Agassi. Jerome Haehnel up a pair of sets to Andre Agassi. Of art, Claude Monet.
That's right.
Spend a day there just looking at the Impressionists. Look at the draw, and Chris Fowler mentioned they're working on a masterpiece at the start today. Well, no one thought it would be Jerome Haehnel, and this is not only Agassi's bottom side of the draw, it's also Haehnel's.
I guess Haehnel making his own impression, huh? On this tournament right now. And Vince Spadia, by the way, in a dogfight in his opening round in the fourth set in a tie break.
Only one break in the match, and that was in the opening set at 4-all when Haehnel broke Agassi and went on to serve it out at 6-4. And then Haehnel in the tie break, 7 points to 4 for the second set.
That running forehand is really a shot that Agassi's having trouble with today. He's not quite sure whether he should look to slide into it or hit it and then move through the ball. He's just all out of sorts on that side.
Oh, an ace well needed by Agassi at love 30. His third. Is Haehnel even perspiring?
That has really been a troublesome shot there as well for Agassi. The short ball, and Agassi just not moving up into the court at all for that.
Little slice, it ducked low on him, and 2 break points for Haehnel.
Major trouble now for Agassi.
He swipes one away.
30-40.
Even that type of point there, though, for Agassi is dangerous. Taking a cut at the ball that early in the point. Yeah, it just shows how uneasy Agassi is.
Double faults for the game, and now falls behind 3-1 in the third in this graveyard of American hopes. Roland playoffs on ESPN.
Expect another defensive struggle in that one. Here's my big prediction, Dick. Whoever gets the 80 wins the game, right?
Reggie Miller with another big 3-pointer to help the Pacers in that first game. Where will Agassi find any help? He's 3 games away from dismissal.
Yeah, a little bit of difference, isn't there, Dick, between say a sport like basketball and tennis, you know, where a guy like Karl Malone can go to the Lakers and sort of play a whole new role and still be a valuable part of the team but not be the guy. And Reggie Miller can come out and hit a couple of shots just at the end of the game, but he's not the guy anymore. But not for Andre Agassi. He's got to be the guy all the time. And that's what has made it so remarkable what he's been able to do late in his career.
And when his opponent isn't missing any shots, well, there a rare mistake off the forehand from Haehnel, and a slight opening for Agassi to break back. Love 30, and that rhythmic applause by the French is for Agassi. They want to see him get back in the match.
Agassi has come back from 2 sets to love down here before, of course, in the championship match 5 years ago, last year, and this is the man who's the most responsible for getting Agassi into that type of condition.
Hardly an encouraging pose from Reyes, his trainer, since back in 1990. Former trainer at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
They met in the gym, and he was working with the UNLV basketball team.
And a break at love. So there's the first bright moment for Andre Agassi in the match. He's back on serve in the third as we go to Chris.
All right, Dick, thank you. Jerome Haehnel trying to become an historical footnote and perhaps dispatch Agassi for the final time here in Paris. But if Andre needs to search history for inspiration, he only has to recall last year, round 2, against Mario Ancic, a Croatian who was a top 100 player but barely 19 years old. And Ancic serving in the near court. This match was on the Longland court. Played well, won the first set 7-5. Ancic was absolutely unconscious in the second set. He could not miss. He overwhelmed Agassi 6-1. But Agassi, who 4 times previously had come from 2 sets down to win in 5, began to get his teeth into the match slowly. Taking the third set, 6-4, finally the fist pump. Agassi in set 4, which featured some brilliant tennis. Watch this point. The gift from Ancic and from Agassi, finding the angle, the dive in the dirt from the youngster, but Agassi wins that 4th set 6-2. On to set 5, 7-5. Can he escape again? We'll find out soon.
All right, Chris, thank you for the reminder. I'm sure Agassi's camp would be pleased with that report.
Can we get a monitor down there for Agassi? You can see that? Got a little fist pump. That's what he needs, a little positive energy.
See the splotches of tear tattoo on the back of Agassi, and Haehnel's attire is impeccably clean, unfortunately. Well, Agassi with his first break of Haehnel. Let's see if he can build on that momentum.
And overhitting badly on that forehand side. Agassi electing to take the entire clay court season off. Missed all the 3 major clay court events leading up to the French Open. Monte Carlo. And then Rome, and that's just long. Rome and Hamburg, the 3 Masters Series events. Agassi electing to stay home, to train in Las Vegas, to go up to his place in Northern California to practice some on the clay. Play a warm-up tournament last week in Austria, which he went out in the opening round. I mean, he's done it before, Dick, in his career. He's come into big tournaments having not played that many matches and had success. Darren Cahill, his coach, with him back in the States preparing. But to do it on your least favorite surface is a bit more complicated. And I guess he's finding that out the hard way right now.
Look at that shot. It's wide. Agassi holds 3-all in the third. Down 2 sets to Jerome Haehnel. Spadia now has won the tiebreak in the 4th against Serra, and they're in the 5th.
Yeah, he won that 9-7 in the tiebreak, but Serra now up a break early in the 5th, and Haehnel on serve against Cyril Saulnier, the Frenchman. Won also in the 5th set. Agassi hoping just to get to the fourth right now.
Hour and 15 minutes, 50 minutes into this match. And Agassi now knows if he is to advance, he's going to be out for 3 hours or more. That would not have been the game plan.
No.
Cloudless sky. Temperature in the low 60s in Paris today. The other side of the coin for Agassi is that he's never seen Haehnel, and it appears he still hasn't figured him out.
No, and that is a bit unsettling. And when I saw Andre before the match early this morning in the locker room, I asked him, you know, have you seen him? Do you know how he plays? Like he said, no, I have no idea. I said, Darren, you know, watched him play a little bit, saw him hit, just saw him practice, because again, he came out of the qualifying. So it's not like they couldn't prepare, because when the draw comes out, it says qualifier. You don't know who you're going to play, so your coach is not going to go out there and watch every match. Karecha up a break in the third against Jan Michael Gamble at set apiece. And a big point again on Haehnel's serve. He comes up with a beautiful two-hander.
Well, you've been there, Patrick. You look at the draw and you in early rounds and you see somebody maybe not always 271 but in the hundreds, and you say, well, you know, I'm going to have an easier match. I got to win this. I should win it. And only human nature that Agassi had to expect that no matter how good Haehnel played, that he'd take care of him.
Yeah, that's the reason why he's never been in the top 200.
Just digging out every point.
Missed it.
So a 3-all deuce. Here are some crucial points for Agassi, who broke Haehnel for the first time in the last service game. Taking an extra breath now. Big point. You're dealing with those capricious bounces.
Yep, that's exactly what that was, Dick. Agassi trying to take that ball right off the bounce on this red clay surface. Australian Open, US Open, coming off either the rebound ace or the cement. Clean bounce every time. That favors the Agassi ground attack.
He's getting everything, and now the court was open. Agassi couldn't deliver. On serve in the third, Jerome Haehnel leads Andre Agassi by 2 sets. There are only 5 to win all 4 major events. Grand Slam history, Sampras with the most titles, 14 over wonderful Australian player Roy Emerson, Bjorn Borg. Best I've seen with these eyes when he won 6 here at the French and then goes over to the All England Club and wins 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles on grass. Agassi's had some mighty high moments, 8 Grand Slam titles, but this could be one of his lowest. He's going to have to dig really deep. Down 2 sets, serves 3-4 in the third. It's a matter of Haehnel seeming to out-hit him on all the rallies. That he's keeping it alive, and Agassi makes the air.
The other thing I think we need to touch on as well, Dick.
Great hands by Agassi. Haehnel had a shot at love 30 down the line.
And one of the other things I think that's been a problem for Agassi is you see him coming up with this good stab volley is the fact that it's quite breezy out on this Chatrier court. And in addition to see the wind there, in addition to the difficulty of taking the ball off the bounce on this clay court, doing it in the wind is also a bit tricky. Oh no. Oh, it stayed in. Again, the wind there playing havoc with Agassi. And that ball just catching the line, as the shot spot shows us there.
15-30.
That's wide.
And with it, 2 break points for Haehnel. High marks for this 23-year-old.
15-40.
The east of France and the Alsace region near Germany.
Here comes his 10th break point opportunity of the match.
And should he break, he would serve for the upset. Agassi approaches. There's the break. And Jerome Haehnel now serves for a straight set upset of Agassi.
And Haehnel, just as he's been doing throughout the match, playing very cool and calm under pressure. This time he had plenty of time. He goes back behind Agassi. Now 1 game away from gotta be one of the biggest upsets in Grand Slam history.
To never have won an ATP match against a man looking for his 800th win. 8-time Grand Slam holder Agassi. Talk about a David Goliath matchup.
You mentioned the Safin loss, which, as it turned out, that wasn't such a surprise when he lost here to Murat Safin. And the other time was against Doug Flack, which was Ken Flack's younger brother, who played on the tour for a number of years. At that time ranked 281 at Wimbledon in '96.
Well, a couple of backhand misses here in this crucial game, and Agassi has missed 7 backhands in the last 2.5 games. 2 points from victory.
Absolutely unbelievable. Another backhand missed.
42-0.
It was long. Chair umpire Ramos overrules, and 3 match points for Jerome Haehnel. Yesterday, and researching for this match with Agassi, no one could give you even his height, weight, or age. Oh, a desperate forehand just inside the line denies 1 match point.
And you have to start to wonder, Dick, as we did at the Australian Open, and that was a great match that he lost to Safin in 5 sets, Agassi. Is this it for Andre Agassi at the French Open?
And with an ace, Haehnel records one of the great upsets in major tennis history. Straight sets over the 6th seed, Andre Agassi. 6-4, 7-6, 6-3, and a standing ovation from the French.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this tournament, the French press were just berating the men players from France, saying they've got no shot to make anything happen. They're all talking about Emily Mauresmo on the women's side. Well, guess what? They got something to talk about now.
Not just a stunning upset, but an overwhelming victory as well by Haehnel. Clearly the better player today. Straight sets over Agassi.
And is this it for Andre Agassi? He will be so disappointed. The preparation wasn't there leading up to this French Open, and Agassi never looked comfortable out there on this stadium court.
Well, Haehnel with a quick dismissal of the favored Agassi, and Agassi with a quick exit from Chartrier Stadium. Well, that will be the early buzz here at Roland Garros on this first Monday of the championship. Jerome Haehnel knocks out Andre Agassi in straight sets. Oh my.
Yeah, that's a big time oh my, isn't it, Dick? That Haehnel is through to round number 2. Vince Spady, another American seed in this section, he's in trouble in the 5th set. So a wide open section for none other than Andy Roddick, who's in this quarter of the draw.
And Grand Slam action will continue here in Paris, but the day belongs to Jerome Haehnel. The 23-year-old unknown is a headliner in Paris today. A major upset in this major championship, orchestrated by Jerome Haehnel, 23, from the Alsace region of France, over near the German border, where they'll lift a stein or two on this day. No longer an unknown. Dismisses Agassi in 3 sets. A stunning upset, and one of the biggest upsets in Roland Garros history. Let's go back to our first premise, and that is that on this demanding surface you have to be a thinking player, and it looked as if he was always one step ahead of Andre.
I think Andre obviously struggled with the fact that he didn't have a very good preparation coming into this tournament, and you could see him, as you said, trying to think his way out of it. And really his instinct, Agassi, is to hit his way, and he's been able to do both over the years, to adjust to the different surfaces, obviously winning all the majors. But he just looked like he never felt comfortable, and you know, he struggled coming in, and he's had some tough losses now in the last few tournaments he's played. So to me, this is more about where is Agassi now for the rest of the year.
Yeah, he's such a proud guy,
yeah.
and he says that as long as he feels he can enter a tournament and feel that he is a legitimate favorite, that he has a chance to win it, he's going to continue to play. Well, obviously his performance today indicates that he certainly wasn't up to the 271st player in the world. I've got to think he's in the locker room right now. I mean, it's kind of sad to see the great champions play like that, and I don't think Andre would ever want to be in a position where this continues to happen.
Well, if it does continue to happen, I think we'll have seen the last of him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think that he'll be able to put this loss behind him. He's had some very tough losses in the past, none against someone like this, so unknown, so out of nowhere. But looking ahead to Wimbledon, you know, certainly he's got to say, okay, I can come into Wimbledon and have a chance. And I still think his best chance by far, of course, will be in New York at the U.S. Open to have one more dream run. But that's looking more and more like a real long shot right now.
And meanwhile, it's Jerome Haehnel, who does have a dream start. 271st in the world. He has just won his first ATP tournament match. It comes on center court here at Roland Garros, and he beats a former champion. Oh my. Chris?
Well, Dick, we are just as stunned down here. You guys talked about Jerome Haehnel being afraid to fly. Today, no travel necessary. The tennis world comes to him, and a great champion comes to his home country. and it is Jerome Haehnel crafting in his very first tour level match. Don't forget that, knocking off Andre Agassi. For Agassi, an enormous disappointment. Obviously, his camp felt he needed a couple of matches to kind of get his teeth into this French Open. Seemed to have a draw tailor-made for that, but it's not to be. And at 34, it's very clear that there are no foregone conclusions for Agassi whenever he steps on the court. We're reminded of a great unknown succeeding of maybe Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson. In tennis terms, you'd have to view this as perhaps even more surprising than when George Bastl beat Pete Sampras at Wimbledon, the 7-time champion being knocked out in the second round a couple of years ago. But Bastl at least was in the top 100, not a guy like Jerome Haehnel. A stunning start to this second major of 2004 as the French qualifier, an unknown in this city, knocks out former champion here, Andre Agassi. More surprises to follow, perhaps from Paris, when we continue after this. Andre Agassi losing a stunning straight-set match to Jerome Haehnel, a French qualifier on clay here. It's back-to-back stunning losses on European clay for Andre Agassi, who talked about that, among other things, in this post-match press conference.
The difficulty is that you come out to clay, and if something's a little bit off, people can exploit it pretty easily. The good news is you get a chance to hit a lot of balls, so hopefully it doesn't take you many matches or sets or points to start feeling more comfortable with what you're doing, But there's no sort of gray area, If things aren't right, you get exploited and exposed, and if things are right, you get your teeth into it, and you start gaining more confidence as you go along. And there's no question it wasn't right out there. But I don't have the luxury of hitting through that. You gotta choose your shots, else you end up playing low percentage. And I did. I was, risking shots that I shouldn't have been taking those kind of chances on.
Maybe to step outside yourself for 1 second. Looks like it might be shaping up to be a rough day for the American men. Just any reflections on sort of clay and the U.S.?
Well, I think it's been pretty predictable for a number of years, who's favored coming into each and every slam. To be an American and be favored here on the clay would be quite a testament to how good you are. So, if you grow up here, it's a lot easier when you grow up on the dirt. Just like it's a lot easier on hard courts when you grow up on the hard courts.
Jerome was swinging so freely, like a player who had absolutely nothing to lose. And I was just wondering, can you remember the last time when you played a match where you just could swing from your heels like that and everything just felt, it felt effortless and pressureless?
Well, I still occasionally get those. They're getting fewer and further between. Yeah, I don't know what he was feeling out there. He was certainly hitting the ball well, so credit to him for that. Yeah, but I've played a lot of matches where I feel that way. Most recent. Palm Springs against Korea.
Andre, just assess the chances of you coming back here as a player next year.
Hard to say. I mean, you want to come back, and but you just don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a year away, and that's a long time for me right now. Chances get less every year for sure.
After an hour and a half, you finally broke him. Did you feel then that you could get back into it?
Well, I was hoping that, I could find some range of my shots and step up and be aggressive when the opportunity presented itself, and hopefully settle into a match where I could make him earn it. you know, I still felt like the match could turn around at that point. But it just, you know, it takes 2 minutes of bad tennis, and the match is over with at that point. So, you know, you shouldn't be in that situation in the first place.
Last few questions, please.
Andre, back to the scheduling thing again. If you look at the next 2.5 months, which with the goals you have, which are probably doing well at Wimbledon and the Olympics and the Open, are you going to need a lot more matches? Is there a chance that you're going to change your approach, and how much are you really going to grind?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there's a difference between grinding on grass and clay, hard courts, than it is clay. I mean, clay is a surface that's, again, it's more wear and tear for some than others, and when you don't play on it and grow up on it. So this season was calculated in the big picture, and you hope that you come into this tournament fresh and ready and get a few matches in and start getting more comfortable and give yourself a look at the basket. But I think my summer schedule looks pretty full, and so, you know, I'll need a little help to get a few matches in before Wimbledon, but certainly this summer I'll get a lot of chances to do that leading up to the Open. So I would have every expectation that Wimbledon and the Open are going to be a lot better than this.
Is this the beginning of something truly special for Jerome Haehnel? A win of his life in his first ever tour level match, beating Andre Agassi no less. And is it perhaps the